Alexandra. Why do you do what you do? And where do these insights and wisdom that you put online, where do they come from?
I do what I do because it feels like the only thing that makes sense. I think
Mm,
as a part of the evolution of my soul, I used to be a really quiet and behind the scenes kind of person. And I feel like expressing is something that's just part of my evolution as a soul.
mm,
Part of, you know, part of healing my throat chakra, which I manifested problems in earlier in my life. And the insights come from observation, just observing myself constantly. It comes also from doing deep subconscious work with people. It comes from caring about the way the mind works and caring about freeing people. And so it's kind of like any person in any field that chews on something. It's kind of like, that classic Einstein story. Like he thinks about whatever he's thinking about, then he plays the violin and then he gets insight about whatever problem he's trying to solve. And I seem to receive a lot of insight about the human psyche.
I see. So it's just something natural, almost like you have to do it.
Yeah, and it's not even that I have to, it's like I love it. I just
Mm,
love it. When I was little, I wanted to be either a doctor or a psychologist. And now I do kind of both of those things like in my own way. And it just feels really good.
mm. Yeah, could you go
Yeah.
more into that? Like how do you do that? Like how do you go about being the doctor and psychologist in your own way?
Well, without having had formal training in psychology or medicine, I actually was a lawyer. um, Somehow I'm able to, through my own observation, and there's this amazing series of talks with David Bohm, who is a physicist, and Krishnamurti, and I thought it was so cool that all these physicists would ask Krishnamurti about the universe, because what I realized and what he helped me realize was like if I observe myself, um, I will understand the universe in whatever capacity that I can. And so part of that means knowing how the mind field works. Um, and I do something called Rohan, and I work with people individually where I'm very aware of their subconscious, and I can, in a very safe and gentle way, help them liberate life force energy by freeing themselves of a pattern.
Mm,
And the doctor thing, I have energy. We all do, hand chakras, and a few years ago, I started noticing I would meditate with my hands on my legs, and there would be like burn marks in the shape of my hand bones and my nails. And I just noticed this like energy coming through my hands. And so I used to, not lately, but I used to do trance healing, energy healing, thought surgery. But I realized that at least for most people, if you don't find the faulty thought, um, if you don't find the construct and break it down, then you tend to recreate the same issues over and over again.
I see.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So you're a doctor, you're a healer. You're like a psychological doctor. Yeah, I get it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
But like at a deeper level, at a level of energetic level, which is really how we heal. That's the true way of
Yeah.
healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you say one of the things was? It was thought surgery?
Yeah. Well, that's what Rohan, this process that I learned at a school I went to in Georgia, is called etheric thought surgery. It's
Mm,
basically, like we hear about kind of general constructs like unworthiness, right? Heal the wound, the mother wound, the unworthiness wound. What I have found in human beings and in myself is that there are much more specific iterations of those thoughts. Like, I'm a worthless, you know what, because I did this. Maybe it's a memory from another life. And it's like this guilt that people hold on to that is actually reinforced from religious conditioning and other experiences. um, so we find the thought and you visualize it and you basically lift it out of your system. And it's so cool because people literally feel the weight of it, whatever it's attached to in the body, in the chakra system, being lifted out of their body.
wow.
So it's very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's probably happening to all of us, every single one of us. Our thoughts, our negative thoughts, are affecting us in a way that we aren't even aware of. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's how we ended up in this calamity, this situation of life that we find ourselves in, is because our dark, intrusive thoughts that we just don't have control of. But first, you have to
Hmm.
become aware of those things, and then from there, that's when you can dissect them and do the surgery and
Yeah.
energetically transmute them into into a better sort of energy for your being. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it's interesting. It's all energy. It's all energy work.
Hmm.
So where do you start? How would you recommend somebody that comes to you and say, "Hey, I got all these dark, intrusive thoughts. I got a lot of skeletons in my closet. I got a lot going on.
Mm.
Where do I begin? How do I get to start to heal myself?"
Well, it depends, it's a case by case basis. Intrusive thoughts is actually a great example. Intrusive thoughts, I actually had a client of mine that had really intrusive thoughts. Her daughter just got her driver's license, and she said, "Oh, every time my daughter takes the car out, I imagine her dying," and stuff like that. And there's a few ways to go about it, depending upon the human being. Relaxing into something and knowing that it is a temporary experience and that it will end can actually be very helpful. If you're of the mystical nature and you understand that deeply, that can really help a person. But in other people's cases, I feel like that those thoughts are a symptom of feeling completely out of control within yourself. So what I would
Mm,
say is create stability within yourself, right? If you feel out of control and chaotic, and maybe that's manifesting as lots of turbulent thoughts, right? Instead of observing your thoughts, feel your central channel and start to create the energy of stability, particularly in the root chakra. The root chakra is where we express our individuality into the world. And so it's like programming your chakras with frequencies. And people talk about that all the time. Tune into the frequency. And I feel like that goes over most people's heads. They're like, how do I do it? And it's like, all you have to do is close your eyes, put your awareness on the root chakra, maybe like Kegel and feel that area more fully and start to feel stability. Choose a symbol like an iron Buddha. Choose something that means stability to you and start to make it familiar in your psyche, and it will expand in your awareness. And whatever you hold in conscious awareness becomes you.
yeah.
So I would say, like, practice being more deliberately, creating frequencies. And then before you know it, like what begins as a discipline just starts to become your personality.
Mm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, we all have that power. Every
Yeah.
single one of us, we have that power to transmutate all of our energy into better energy for ourselves. It's just the fact of one, becoming aware, and then two, knowing how to do it. But it's really simple. It actually is pretty simple, even though it might not be easy for us, but it's pretty simple. It's like you said, be
Yeah.
deliberate with your how you orient yourself, and deliberate with what you really want to attract, and actually be serious about it. Be
Yeah.
actually like
Yeah.
earnest in how you want to
Yes.
attract that. And
Yeah.
yeah, we all have that ability. It's just that we get knocked off our rocker from the world and our conditionings, and who knows what, just things outside of us that take control. But ultimately, when it really comes to it, we all have control over our entire being, no matter what goes on outside of us, or we think that whatever we think controls us from the outside world. We all have that control. It's just knowing the techniques, and thankfully, there's people out there like you that are shining the light. For others to be
Yeah.
able to have that. But yeah,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like a major piece is just having the conviction to do it. Like,
mhm,
just deciding like enough is enough. Like, I can be greater than my environment, my body conditions, like, because I'm the creator. And so all you have to do is prove it to yourself a few times, and it starts to become something that you really want to keep doing, because the alternative is being a victim of the vibrations of the universe, right? That
yeah,
you can't change.
mhm,
So
Yep, it starts with the conviction. And it
Yeah.
starts with, I've said this plenty of times, so if there's any repeat listeners, they're just gonna be like, there he goes again. It starts with our suffering, right? Essentially, it starts with us saying, wait a sec, there's got to be another way to go about this. I can't just keep going along on the hamster wheel. There has to be another way to find this so called happiness, the so called peace that people speak about. And it's not the way that school told you. It's not the way that anybody else in your life probably told you how it was through materialism in the outside world. It's not through that at all. It's through one earnestly, really seriously wanting to have that. Like you said,
Yeah.
the conviction, it's a good word. You want to have that conviction to say and have the like step in your right, your birthright to have that peace and happiness, because I do believe it is all of our birthright. We're all supposed to, contrary to popular belief, we're all supposed to be happy here. I believe
Yeah.
we're all supposed to enjoy this experience, even though it seems dark and bleak and like we're not supposed to. And dukkha, all everything is suffering. Well, we're supposed to use that suffering, use that darkness, in order to see the light. You can't have the dark without the light. You can't have the light without the dark. There's a better
Yeah.
way to say it. So use that darkness, that seeming darkness, to really see through the illusion of what it is into the light of your own power. And that's essentially the gist of the whole spiritual experience, right? Is to be able to know how to orient yourself to become happy. That's what it's all about. It's not about looking cool or wearing a nice hat or putting on some robes and giving yourself a different name just because it's trendy or whatever. It's because we all just want to be happy. We want to be peaceful. And
Yeah.
it's out there. The techniques and ways to go about this are out there for us to be able to have that, and it's accessible for all of us. It really is. Um, yeah, it's a beautiful thing to be able to have that knowledge and to be able to hopefully spread it to other people as well. Yeah, that's the journey. That's the gist. How did you get started on this? Like, where did this orientation in your being come from?
Um, well, in 2016, I was walking, I was doing a morning walk by the ocean. I live in Miami. And I was just breathing, and I had an experience. It's a Kundalini awakening. It's a specific aspect of a Kundalini awakening where the auric egg cracks, and
Mm,
it feels like this nectar, like this blissful nectar, just poured through the top of my head, out through my heart, and just like exploded. And I was in this blissful state for 2 years, and everything was pure consciousness. Like the nature of reality was very dreamlike and blissful. And I was like working as a lawyer at the time, and like I was looking at my highlighter, like so blissed out by how gorgeous it was. Like everything was so, I was in unable to see flaws. Like I was just, the nature of reality was like revealed to me in this very spectacular way. And then 2 years later, I thought, like, I read The Power of Now. And so I was like, oh, this is like what Eckhart's talking about. Like, and what he didn't mention, I'm not sure if this was part of his experience or not. 2 years later, it got dark because
mm,
the Kundalini energy started like emptying out the content of the chakras. And I spent months at a time unable to lift my head off of a pillow because the energy made me so dizzy, and all I can see in the screen of my mind was like myself dying. And I had lots of thoughts of past lives, and I felt like sensations like being choked, being poked, like just the most bizarre symptoms. And I've had symptoms like that for a long time, ever since then, that come and go as part of my psyche gets purified. Like it will come out sometimes in the form of physical symptoms that are very, very scary, but then they just disappear the next day. And for me, that was really intense because I had cancer 10 years ago.
wow.
And so I was like, whoa, like I'm really going to have to deeply relax because my mind is saying, oh, cancer's back. Oh, this is bad. But then what I learned and what I noticed is the Kundalini energy has healed my body. I have like body parts growing back. Um, and what it has done is made me so aware of the mind field, because you can only go as high as you go low, or you can only stay as high as you look low, because, you can have the most mystical experience, but if you have all of these tendencies tethering you down in lower energy, you have to look at them and deconstruct them. So Kundalini has guided me, I feel like guided me to learn Rohan and just be deeply interested in freeing myself on a psychological level, which I feel like some spiritual teachings want you to just ignore your mind or disidentify from the mind. Like I don't think they're wrong. But in my experience, like that wasn't an option. In my experience, the awakening broke through the psyche and like started disintegrating anything that was not love and freedom.
Mm.
Anything that's not love and freedom has to go. And sometimes that comes out as blisters, as rashes, and so I've had an intense experience. And so what I share on my channel is basically like the gems that I realize keep us stuck. Because even if you haven't had like a Kundalini awakening, it doesn't matter. Like you can still be free. You can still recognize how you stay stuck and be free. Like you can be free. You don't have to wait for the future or wait for to be the Buddha or whatever. Like you are free right now. You just have to become aware of like the ways that you get distracted so that you can remain free, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not get stuck in states of mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Yeah. We're all free. We
Yeah.
all have the ability to act how we truly want.
Yes.
And I think that's where the journey takes us to on the path is the path to true freedom. Peace, happiness, freedom. It's all the same thing. It's just however you want to put it, but they all coincide with each other. Um, and freedom isn't just like it's not like I can just do whatever I want right now. Like I can just start flying around or become invisible, but it's
Mhm.
freedom to act in this vessel. Freedom
Yeah.
to free will, essentially. How do you want to
Yeah.
act in your
Yeah.
circumstances, in your karma? That's what true freedom is, because we don't do that. We're at whim to our outside world or other people's opinion of us or whatever it is. Like I said before, or anything on the outside of ourselves that calls the shots for us. We allow them to call the shots for us. Like we have the free will
Exactly.
to allow them to do that. That's what happens. But then when you
Yeah.
take your power back, you just say, wait, 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 no, no, no. I'm going to truly figure out what I want. What do I want here? Because we all want something. We all essentially want peace, happiness, but it's like we have things on top of that as well. Like how do we go about that? Like how do we navigate our conditionings to be able to reach that peace and happiness? And that takes time. It really does. I think it takes time. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of effort.
Hmm.
Um, but that's what the spiritual journey is. It's being able to find that essence of freedom within yourself to be able to find that peace and happiness. It's really taking your God-given right of free will back, which we always have, but it's almost like we
Yeah.
lose track of it in a way. We give it
Hmm.
up in a way,
Yeah.
but then the spiritual path is finding out how to find that power. Um, I believe, and
I
yeah,
agree.
who doesn't want that?
Right.
Don't we all want to call the shots here? I guess, even though in ultimately it seems like, I mean, you could get to a point, right, where it's like, well, am I, it's the free will not versus non-free will debate. You could say all is one, one is all. It's all just happening here, but everything's happening at the same time and nothing is happening at the same time. It's all just one man. Nobody's doing anything. It's all just this one, it's just all this unity. It's this one ocean with different currents. Well,
Yeah.
I guess it's like your free will is, how are you going to be that wave in the ocean? Like, how are you going to be the ripple in that ocean? Because there's still, yeah, all is one. It's all perfect. It's all imperfectly perfect. But it's like, we're still, there's still that aspect of us that plays the part here in the one unity of the movie of life. We're still the
Yeah.
actor, we're still the character. So it's like, keep that everything is perfect mindset, which comes along the way on the path. I believe all is one, it's all perfect, kumbaya. But then it's like, well, it doesn't, that's not the end. It's like, now what? It's like,
Yeah.
there's still something we have to do here in the ocean.
Oh
there's
yeah.
there's still a way to float with the current.
I
Yeah,
agree.
go ahead.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, see, I think kind of what can confuse people is like, have you heard that saying? There's like this delicate balance between surrender and intention,
Mm,
like letting go and participating. If you
yeah.
think about reality as being like the unmanifest void, and then also the actor, it's like the void and the actor, you have these both.
Mm,
You are both. Like you are the rest cycle and the replenishment, and you are the action. And so a lot of what I talk about is, and this is in Kashmir Shaivism, which I haven't deeply studied, but a lot of people have contacted me saying, oh, everything you talk about is kind of a tantric Kashmir Shaivite way of seeing things. I I don't sense reality as being separate from me. So to me, my will, like the will of the universe and my will are the same. And that's taken time to like align. But even in my own life, when I felt separate from life, I felt like life or the universe was doing something to me, or you know constructing a journey for me. But then like as I raise my vibration, like literally I literally feel and know that I designed my life. It's just like, it's just when you bring yourself up to that level of awareness, like the difference between life and myself doesn't make sense anymore.
mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense anymore. And that awareness can get really emphatic. Like I've been driving sometimes through nature, and I literally experience myself expecting the trees and the owls into reality. I'm not always
Oh.
in that emphatic of a state. I'm not always like that. But this great guy, and I'm forgetting his name now, but he's like a scientist and a mystic. He said, what feels like destiny to the small me is the intention of the higher self. And I think the idea of karma like confuses us. We're like, what did we do wrong? Why did we experience this? But if we think of it like a design, right? Like I designed incarnating into a family with pretty volatile emotional energy. But I've mastered emotional energy and I can show it to others, and that's really valuable. And if I see my life as a design, like that in and of itself liberates so much power within you. And then you thank your family, and you thank all the characters and the components that made it possible for you, the creator, to create this experience and to experience yourself as the creator in the dream.
Yeah.
That whole shift in perspective is just so heart opening. Um, and my actual experience is I do not feel that there is a will outside of me. I recognize that there is a consciousness greater than what I'm able to perceive as an individual. Um, all I can say is like when I attune myself to the most fundamental qualities of that consciousness, which is intelligence, creativity, and love. And that means in my everyday life, do I feel unlimited? If my bank account got depleted yesterday and I'm traveling, like, can I feel confident that the universe is going to somehow take care of me? Like, that's creator consciousness. That's what counts. Like, when the rubber hits the road, like in my everyday life, do I feel like a creator? Do I trust life? Do I feel love for myself and others? Like, as long as you're embodying the qualities of true nature in your human life, right, then I feel like you've gotten the full message. But I think a lot of people stay detached and say like, well, there's a will and I'm just going to let it play out. But part of the will of God is what you experience as your own intention.
Yep.
Like it's always been God inspiring you to meditate.
Yeah.
It's like even when you felt it was me meditating, like it was always life inspiring you to do that. And I feel like when you come into the realization that there have always been the same thing, you just experience life differently.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Wow.
Yeah.
Good way to put it. Yeah. There's no goal, but that's the goal. It's to blend the two into
Yeah.
one. The small I and the big I are really just one.
Yeah.
There is the higher self, and then there's the bodily self, but in actuality, it's one current.
Yeah.
It's really just one. It is the greater. There is the greater self with a capital S working through us and ourselves, but with the right mindset, yeah, one can see that there is genuinely no separation between that. We essentially
No.
are just, in that point of view, instruments of the divine, instruments of God. We
Mhm.
become we become like gods. Ye are gods. I think there's some guy that said that.
Yeah.
Ye too are gods. And that's
Yeah.
essentially what Jesus was saying, is that we're not the Father, well, but we become the Father. We become merged with the One when we act according to the One. That's what we are. That's
Yeah.
what a human being is. That's what our hands and our mind are for. We're like the tools to the divine. We're here to do
Yeah.
something. We're doing
Yeah.
something here. Um, and we're creating. Yeah, like you said, we're creating, we're building out of love. That's our job
Mhm.
here. But it's all in our own way to do that. We all have our own way and technique and circumstances, um,
Yeah.
to do that, in all of our own lives, to do that, and things to go through to be able to reach that kind of perspective on life. But I do believe that's our destiny. I believe, seems a little high and mighty, but I do believe it seems a little distant too. But I believe it's possible for all of us, every single human being, to be on that mindset, because it's the truth. There's no other way to go. For us to truly be all linked up to that creator mindset, and to truly, consciously work off of that wavelength and that frequency, and to merge with the one. That's what's happening right now, is the one, and the greater aspect of it, the one became the many, our individualized selves, and thus we're merging back with the one, but we're merging in a way that's like our state of consciousness, and that is
Yeah.
thus changing our state of consciousness. At this point, we're becoming like new beings. We're leveling up in a way. Some call it 5D, 4D consciousness, whatever you want to call it. It's really just like the one, the one and the many, reaching this true state of non-duality that's even beyond the state of non-duality. It's this state of many in one, merging in and
Mhm.
becoming like a third aspect. There's a word for it. There's other words for it, but I forget the name of it. That's like when yin and yang combine and create almost like this other
Yeah.
aspect. It almost becomes
Yes.
quantum in a way. Um, yeah, that's probably the best way that I could describe it, but that's literally what's happening right now. And we do that through embodying what this one is, and this one is the creator, right? It's God. That's
Yeah.
what gods are. So we become like like a creator in our own life, and we
Yeah.
become like a god. That's essentially what happens, and that's the path. And I think we're all doing that. I think this is the great awakening for us, to be able to embody that. Literally at this point, if you turn on Fox News or CNN or go on TikTok, they're probably not going to tell you that. But if you look within and go within yourself, you'll be able to feel that
Yeah.
within your heart, that's what's happening on a molecular, on an energetic level, to all of us right now. Is we're all somehow, I don't know where it's coming from, divine grace, somehow getting synced up, linked up to this Purusha, as they call it, this one, this the unfallible essence that is within all of us. We're getting linked up to that, and then creating from that, and thus a new world. I think that's our job here too. If you want to keep going, it's like we're creating a heaven on earth, essentially. I know it doesn't look like it. Like I said, it seems a little dark, but
Mm.
we got some growing pains. But I
Yeah.
really do believe that's where we're going. We're creating this, like, the Garden of Eden. We're creating this very heavenly abode on this planet. We're gonna get there. It might take a little bit of time, but if you go within, listen to your heart, you might be able to
Mhm.
find and feel that is what's happening within yourself. At least feel that within yourself, and to know, maybe others also feel that way.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. It's a beautiful time to be alive. A lot of people think it's like
Yeah.
this, it's dark, it's bleak, but I mean, no, this is like a new renaissance. This is like,
Oh, yeah.
this is the renaissance of what's happening. Because we're becoming who we're supposed to be as human beings, even
Yeah.
though there is no
Yep.
supposed to. It's all one, it's all perfect, blah blah blah. But no, we've been off our nature, our true nature,
Yes.
not our animalistic human nature, but our spiritual nature. We haven't been intertwined with that. Maybe in a past golden age, some people say, maybe you might be able to feel that this is some kind of remembrance to how we're supposed to be. And that's what's happening, is we're remembering that there is a orientation within our soul, within our, our highest of high, our deepest of deep, that is guiding us to become this being of love, light, freedom, harmony, happiness,
Yeah.
just all good. It's all goodness. It's all just like purity. It's happening right now as we speak. In October of 2022, this is literally
Mhm.
happening all across the world. And it's all happening. It is happening collectively, right? But it's also happening within ourselves, like individually, because that's the only way that it's really going to happen, right?
Yeah.
It's it's like an individual thing, but it's also collective. And as above, so below. It's like I said before. It's the many becoming the one becoming the many. We're all embodying that aspect of uh, God the Creator. And went off on a little rant there. What does that all mean? What does that really all mean? Is that we're all going to be happy. We're all really going to truly enjoy
Yeah.
this reality for how we're supposed to, because like I said before, we're supposed to enjoy this. It's just we're so far gone. We have so much karma that we built up. We have to kind of work through that. We have to we have to decondition ourselves from years and years of conditioning from past lives or in our DNA, in order to reach a state of truly merging with the one and being at peace and happy forever. Truly.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
I agree. I mean, I think this time that we're living is amazing. It's amazing to me. I think that it's kind of like what's happening to the world is like, it's kind of like a Kundalini awakening where like what Kundalini does is it amplifies everything. And so it's like there's more life force coming into all of the channels, which all of us, and it's like your suffering is being amplified. And so you are being pressurized to make decisions to be like, okay, if I don't change something in my life, this current is going to beat me up somehow. That's why I think a lot of people have left marriages or jobs that weren't really authentic to them. People are being rearranged to be more authentic to themselves because they are an expression of the divine. The Godhead is expressing as you, and just as it wants to express as a river and a rainforest and an eagle, like it wants to be you exactly,
Yeah.
but you uncensored without expectations and things that your ego has placed upon you from the external world.
Yep.
And that's a very powerful thing. It's like radical individualization. Like,
I like that. That's good. Yeah.
yeah,
It's true.
yeah,
This is no other way. And you almost have to be radical at this point. Or you don't have to. I mean, no one has to. You just keep going on the hamster wheel, because that's what's happening. You either it's like there's no other choice. You get with the program of God, or you just keep going on the hamster wheel. It's like spirituality, quote unquote spirituality in quotes, is the thing. It's not just like a trend. It's not just like, some people do it. Those are the spiritual people. Look at them, with the dreadlocks and the tie-dye shirts or whatever. It's like, no, it's the thing. It's not just something that some people do. It's literally how it's us. It's human beings that are missing a part of ours. We're missing an aspect of ourself. It's our spiritual nature. There's nothing else. I'm going to say there's nothing else that you should worry about. That's kind of a bad way to say it, but we shouldn't disregard it. I mean, I don't like telling people what to do or what not to do. We all have the free will to do whatever we want to do. But in my opinion, it's not something that should just be like, oh, that's just for Gary. He's a spiritual guy. Let him do his thing. It's like, nah, man. Like, you gotta like, now's the time. You know what I mean? Now is the time
yeah,
to get on the train. Come on, we're all doing this together. I mean, and if you don't, you're going to be unhappy. You're just going to suffer. And the world, the suffering, the darkness, prakriti is only going to get more and more dense. It's only going
yeah,
to get more and more dark as as the life goes on. Now, the matrix is only going to get more and more programmed into us. So unless you start today, start now, it you're gonna suffer, right? And that's the beautiful thing,
Yeah.
though, right? Is we can all start right here, right now. There's nothing stopping any of us. We have, getting back to it, we
No.
all have the freedom to embody what we're supposed to be right
Yeah.
here, right now. And my shtick right now is like, what are you waiting for? What are we all waiting for?
Yeah.
What's the world waiting for? And I don't I don't have the answer, man. I don't where do because what gets me is like how to what gets me is we all have our way to get on the path, right? You had your thing at the beach, or some people have psychedelic experiences or traumatic experiences or whatever, some just divine grace. But we all have something that wakes us up and switches something on in our brain. So,
Mhm.
how would you say this happens in the world? Is it just through this divine grace that comes down and switches people on? Or
Mhm.
is there like something in people's will that says I need to have another way, or is that really the same thing? Am I just speaking upon the same thing? Like
Yeah.
what do you think will enable us to get on that wavelength to reach that, the kumbaya state that I was talking about?
Well, I think some people reach an enlightenment experience or an awakening, or liberation, the full-fledged liberation, because of their suffering. And sometimes letting somebody suffer is the kindest thing you can do. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but in my life, I noticed that if I would try to interfere with something, it would never work. It would actually just hurt me. And
Mm,
so what I learned was like, wow, that's humbling because there's like something going on. They have their own curriculum where they haven't reached a place yet where anything that I have to say about freedom is landing with them. And
yeah.
so and so that's why it's like it's so great to make YouTube channels and have people that actually want to tune into you and use their free will to tune into what resonates with them. Sometimes people do achieve progress by practices, and some people are like, why do some people not have any progress and some people do? Honestly, it's for such a variety of reasons based by on a case by case basis. In general, some people don't make progress because they're trickster energy. I call it trickster energy. They stay distracted. So it's like the people that listen to like a million, YouTube videos and like read every spiritual book, but they're in the same trauma loop or
Yeah.
their mind is wandering all day, like, but they've been doing it for years. Why? Because they haven't reached this point where they're like, oh, wait, I should actually do some of the things I'm reading about.
Yeah.
I should spend time in the void. I should make decisions. And part of like what I'm teaching people is like the very normal, pragmatic way to actually work with this stuff. And it's really as simple as like, okay, if you're going to practice being free and having free will, then you got to start saying no to things that don't feel right to you. You have to stop being a people pleaser. You have to start connecting with your body and start getting to know like what you actually desire.
Hmm.
Because if you stay disconnected from one of your vehicles, then you're not going to be able to perform. Spirit can't manifest fully. And so, for various reasons, people disassociate from the body. A lot of spiritual teachings actually perpetuate the disassociation from the body and from the mind, which keeps people like in this floaty state of like observation, which can be helpful. Because sometimes if you've gotten in the way of your own life a lot and then you relax into the observer, that can be helpful. That can clear up a lot of problems in your life, but it will start to feel empty to you because one of the dimensions of ourselves is that we are the creator. We're not just the unborn. We're not just the stillness. We're also the action. And so it's like, okay, what do you feel inspired to do? What do you feel inspired to do? Do you feel inspired to a spiritual practice? Then do it. Do you feel inspired to try a different restaurant today? Like it keeps popping in your mind, but your rational mind is like, no, but I do the same thing every day. Well, you're getting guided. You're being provided a bridge into something new, and you have to learn how to see that when it's happening and not ignore it anymore. But in general, I think and this is why I've been talking a lot about because people are talking about the rise of the feminine. And I'm saying, okay, but we also need healthy male energy, which is action, which is
Mm-hmm.
intention, which is like, don't lose touch with that. Like, yes, unconditional love, all the parts of yourself, all the parts of your psyche, love and acceptance. But like, sometimes what we need is firmness. Sometimes we're like, okay, like I see that I keep doing the same thing over and over again. So I'm going to be like, I'm going to get erect and I'm going to be like, all right, what can I do about this? And you might not have the answer, but because you actually genuinely want the answer, the universe will show you an answer. Just like the universe showed me the Rohan school. I'm tired of checking out of my body. I'm tired of going on autopilot. I'm tired of these spiritual teachings telling me to just stay disidentified from my body. I know there's something more for me. And so it's like when you're sincere and clear within yourself that you want to change, something will come in because there's no inner and outer, right? As soon as you're clear within yourself that there has to be another way, which I believe is one of the precursors to how the Course in Miracles was written. The people who were writing it said there has to be another way, right? They were tired of the bureaucracy of their institution. So it's like when you become clear and sincere within yourself and you decide to pay attention to solutions that come into your field, and then you actually take action on those, that spirit in its full spectrum, not only as the unborn and the manifest, coming into energy, coming into your psyche, coming into the body and taking action. It's like
Yeah.
all of those dimensions
Mm,
are you, you know?
I see. Yeah. So it's like surrender, but also at the same time create.
Yeah.
It's action, it's observe the energy and the lights coming in, but then that's not the end goal. It's then create from that. Yeah, it's masculine and feminine right there. It's divine, masculine,
Yeah.
and feminine.
Yep.
Yeah. Hmm. And then, and it all stems from, like we said before, there's got to be another way. There has to be another way to see through what's really happening here as a human being. See through the matrix, the illusion, Maya. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a great clue that I've been really interested in, and I've done a lot of content about this, is balancing the genders. In the Kabbalion, one of the Hermetic principles is balancing the genders, and it corresponds to the crown chakra. And if you look at like all these clues in history, we have the middle way, we have the central channel, we have the Vesica Pisces, which like many like Jesus is often depicted in these two spheres that intersect, like he's in the middle, because what happens with human beings in the psyche, they get too identified with the male, which is the separate actor, the doer. I'm the mind and the body. I'm separate from life. Or they get, in spiritual teachings, they get too identified with either energy or with the unmanifested, like, oh, I'm just going to be. And then they interpret that to mean I'm just going to sit here. And that might be real for like a sage that lives in the Himalayas or something. But like especially if you're a Western character, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're involved in business, you're interacting with more data and more human beings. There's a more fluid dynamic interplay between feminine and masculine energy. And it's in all these hermetic teachings, like it's a clue, like when you balance the genders, you come into the center, and that's what helps ascend your consciousness. Because as long as you're trapped in one pole, and that could look like, you know, when empaths, and I have compassion for them because I'm an empath, but a lot of empaths, or you hear a lot of astrologers being like, yo guys, like it's so intense out there, it's so intense, right? So they get stuck in the energy, right? That's stuck on this side. So they're stuck in inaction because they're just so obsessed with the energy and how intense it is. That can be, you're stuck in the feminine. What would be the medicine? Okay, take action.
Mm.
Calm down your body, breathe in your central channel, like create. Don't just observe and pick up things, but create, do both. Right. So you can get stuck on either side. And so like I think that's such an amazing clue. And there's actually a Rohan process that, you know, you go into somebody's mind and they do kind of like a visual meditation where they go into a house. And you know how in diagrams of Kundalini, they have like the female and the male going up through the chakras. And in every chakra, the male and the female intersect. They have a relationship. And you go into this house and you see a couple, a male and a female. And what you'll see so often, they'll be visualizing this couple, like the female, which represents the emotional body, will be like smoking a cigarette on the balcony, checked out, like on drugs, meaning your emotional body's numbed out. And then the mental body, the male, will be like reading a newspaper, like sharpening a saw because the mind will not quit focusing on what it needs to do in the future and blah, blah, blah. And so what you're seeing is like these two things aren't working together. Like she needs him. She needs the mind to work with the feeling, right? And she needs him to provide structure and move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so in any way that like someone can figure out how to balance the genders within them, I feel like is a huge help in moving forward, having spiritual progress, just moving forward in your life in general, and
Mm-hmm.
being happier. Because if you're not stuck in stressful, future oriented doing, nor the whirlpools of emotion, if you're not stuck in either one, you can feel what's real, process it, and move forward. Right? It's like this balanced dance instead of getting stuck in one or the other.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah,
Balance. Balance is very important.
yeah,
I'm a Libra, so yeah, you're speaking to the choir right now.
yeah.
But do you think that our society, our world, is imbalanced more toward the masculine, and really what's happening is a reawakening of the feminine? But the thing is not to get sucked in too much to the feminine either, and to still revere the masculine, the divine masculine, not toxic masculinity, divine masculinity. Revere what masculinity truly is, but at the same
Yeah.
time as reawakening our femininity.
So in my from my perspective, if one is out of balance, the other has to be out of balance. So both.
Mm-hmm.
So what that looks like is like, when people talk about the patriarchy, yeah, that's very real. It's this toxic energy of like ignoring your feelings, ignoring how your body feels. The giving a mother like 1 month maternity leave, that's very disconnected from reality. And so I would say that is imbalanced, unconscious, it's unconscious male energy. But with unconscious male energy comes unconscious female energy, which looks like sometimes being a martyr. And we're kind of like, like I'll sacrifice myself for the good of others, right? I don't care if my maternity leave's only 1 month. Like I can sacrifice the bond with my child. And so it's like that age of martyrdom or that Piscean age is over. And so what we're being called to do is like actually in raising awareness of the sacred feminine, we need conscious masculine energy to stand up for ourselves, to
Mm-hmm.
be firm, to be like, no, like I don't want to live in this world where I'm disconnected from my body, my family, my children. Like let's create a new world. That healthy male energy, that ability to set intentions and create things is required to give birth to a more an age where femininity is honored. We need both.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
one exclusive of the other,
Mm-hmm.
but I can see why people would frame it that way. We're entering more awareness of the whole, which is more of a female. It's more of a female quality, awareness of how we feel about what we do. We're not just going to be autopilot robots that are future oriented and ruthless, climbing corporate ladders, right? That's unconscious. And not to say that being in a corporation is unconscious. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're in that energy where like you are so disconnected from your emotions, your body, your community, you're disconnected from the female because you're operating in the male. Like, yes, I feel like there's a rhythm, like swinging the other way where we are focusing more on the whole, which I feel like is very good. But within the universe is holographic. Within every dimension of reality is the male and the female. And I think what's important is to realize that we need both conscious male and female, right, in our lives, in our society, in our family, in the way that we heal ourselves, right? That's my perspective, at least.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, quote unquote.
no,
Yeah, this
no,
masculine and feminine energy comes in all sexes. Yeah, it's just how do you balance that within yourself? We all have. It's almost like I see it as like a spectrum. We have like a you can be a little masculine or a little too much feminine, but it's just how do you find that within yourself? And I feel like based upon our genetics, we probably have like a predisposition to be a little bit more masculine, a little bit more feminine, just based upon our
mm.
nature and our DNA. So it's probably, it's a different dance for everybody and how we go about that.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's the gist of it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know where else to go from here. Yeah, that's what's happening though. It's we're balancing out at the greater, in the greater perspective of it. We're balancing out the masculine and the feminine energies of this universe within ourselves, and
Yeah.
collectively, that's how we find the balance. Because right now we're unbalanced. There is this imbalance that's going on right now, and that's how we're in this conundrum of our world. Um, but it's gonna happen. We're gonna find balance. That's naturally, I think, the way of things. It's just balance just kind of happens. It's like a wave. It's like a cycle of the yugas. We're in Kali Yuga where it's a little imbalanced right now. The energies are a little distorted, a little in flux, but I think eventually we'll reach a point where there is a little bit of equilibrium, a little bit of equanimity in how we conduct ourselves as a whole, as individually and also as a whole, as above, so below. It's happening. It's definitely gonna happen.
Yeah, and I do think that as a clue in your individual life, some people that enter like a spiritual path, maybe they will let go of the whole physical world, which is often like it's very important sometimes to be isolated or to be alone. But if you're not in balance, if you're not in a rhythm of surrender, and really action includes surrender, but if you're not in a balance of allowing, like stepping back and participating, the you'll know that because something is off in your life. Like there's a buildup of stress or there's a buildup of chaos. Like if you're all in your male, you're probably going to burn out. Your body's going to break down. You'll probably have awful relationships with people. If you're too much in the female, you can fall into addictions. So the way that you know that you're not balanced is like there's some imbalance in your physical life. So it would be like a good awareness tool to ask yourself, like, okay, like universe, like show me how I can come more into alignment with the androgynous nature of reality. Like show me how I can personally apply this principle in my life. Do I need more structure? Do I need to be more intentional? Do I need to make more decisions? Do I have to stop letting other people make decisions for me? I think in spirituality, there's a lot of times, not in every teaching, but there's like an emphasis on like, I don't exist, or like there's no individual, which to me I've seen can be pretty harmful because spirit is manifesting as you, the individual. And so your perspective, your intentions, what you're moving towards matters equally as much as any other being. So what people do is they get stuck in the unconscious feminine. They're like, okay, I'm going to be in unconditional love. I'm going to stay in an abusive relationship, but just love the person, see them in the light. Like they fall. The trickster has caught them because they're only on one side of the equation, and they can gain value from that perspective and learn how to cultivate unconditional love. But I think a lot of people, for whatever reason, don't value themselves as much as they value others. Maybe in the spiritual like arena, like people tend to value others more than themselves, and that's an imbalance because you are no less divine, or and your perspective is no less important than any other being. So you're either in your stream of desire or you're in another individual stream of desire. Isn't it insanity to allow yourself to be in another person's stream of desire
Yeah,
and be a martyr to that? Right.
yeah,
So that's one of the things that I hope I'm energizing and like helping people snap out of that trance, because that trance, you're in a trance either if you're harming others or if you're being harmed. If there's
hmm,
some kind of imbalance in your life, there's some quality in your psyche, maybe that's missing,
yeah.
right?
You'll
So
feel it.
yeah, yeah,
You'll
you feel it.
you'll feel it with enough awareness. You can feel when there's imbalance. And just
Yeah,
because you're the observer, you're at the witness state consciousness, it doesn't imply that there's no action. It doesn't
yeah,
imply that you can observe yourself taking action, It's not like I'm
yeah,
observing, I do nothing because I'm spiritual. It's like, no, it's actually very spiritual to take action and work from that. You can still work from and create from that vantage point. That's actually when the
yeah,
most powerful creations come about. Out of that vantage point of light and love, it doesn't mean inaction. If anything, it actually does mean more action, to take more gumption in your actions toward light and love. Yeah, so don't get stuck on either pole. Don't, don't get stuck on too much feminine. Don't get stuck on too much masculine. It's about the balance, finding that equanimity. And it's a dance. It's a dance
Yeah,
between two poles. It really is.
exactly.
Yeah. So I want to touch upon the trickster. Can you explain what the trickster is? How can you go into that?
So the trickster, it's a term that, well, a lot of people use this term, so I'll just define it in the way that I
I've
mean it.
actually never heard of it. You're the first person I've heard that from.
Oh, really? Okay. So at the school where I learned Rohan and in other, I've heard it in other places, but the way that I see the trickster, actually at my school, they say the trickster is an actual being in consciousness.
Hmm.
I don't necessarily see it that way. I see it as a part of the mind that tricks you into low energy. So I'll give you an example. People often talk about, well, your body's really intelligent. It can process trauma like at its own pace and just let everything happen when it happens. There's a lot of like wisdom to that. But if you observe your behavior and you observe you have like, let's say, an addiction to sadness or nostalgia. So that could look like, I always like to give real examples so that this is not theoretical, so that people can get this. If you have like had a traumatic relationship that you have left and you, let's say like me, I was married and it wasn't a pretty situation that I left. If I were to continue to play the wedding song, right,
Hmm.
over and over and over, making myself sad, that would be the trickster.
I see.
Because there's such thing as like, okay, grieving, going through the natural grief process, like allowing your body to process and digest an experience, which can include a lot of intense emotions, a lot of uncomfortable sensations. But if you are recreating, right, if a part of you is, it's kind of like the addiction to addiction.
Oh
If
yeah.
part of you, like, it's like people that tune into on social media, right? If you tend to feel jealous or sad or something when you tune into something, yet you tune into it every day, that's the trickster. It's a part of your mind that's keeping you in low energy. So I don't think of it as an external being. I think of it as just the part of my mind that's ultimately trying to teach me to have that male quality of conviction and to be like, no, I'm going to like, if I'm one of those people that, fools around on Instagram and tunes into stuff that makes me really angry, for example, which a lot of people do,
Yeah.
seeing that about myself, I'm going to delete that app until I feel whatever, until I know I can interact with it in a way that I'm not putting myself in low energy anymore. I'm going to withdraw my attention from it. I'm going to have some discipline and I'm going to say, like, no, like, I love myself enough not to, even have remain in a friendship where maybe that friend is really unkind to you. Maybe they make, jokes about you when they have a glass of wine. It's like, well, what part of me is actually keeping me in this situation where I'm being mistreated? Okay, that would be the trickster. So I would ask myself, like, okay, what do I not feel free to actually be where I want to be? Do I not feel free in my life to make decisions? Do I feel like a prisoner? Do I feel like I have to be around certain people? Do I feel tempted, right? This idea of temptation from the Bible, the temptation to like
Hmm.
tune into things that piss you off, make you sad, make you nostalgic. And if that's a recurring pattern, I would call that the trickster. And I would say, okay, identify the trickster in you and be better than it, be smarter than it, right? If you see your mind trying to invite you, it's actually described as a kind of seducer. So it
Hmm.
seduces you, like, oh, it's kind of like, let's say you're trying to get past a difficult point in your life and then you keep watching movies that are like really violent or really, really deeply sad.
Yeah.
Okay, so, okay, at some point, right, there's no more value in it. And it's actually just keeping your mind in a state of energy that's actually harming you.
Hmm.
So the trickster in you wants you to believe that love isn't real, love doesn't last. Basically, that love and God is not real. And so
Yeah.
what is real is the control that I can feel if I continuously play out these power games, if I fall, like a lot of people actually feel powerful in their rage, and that's the only context they have for what power means. And so the trickster will have them tune into like stuff that enrages them all the time. And I used to be one of those people where I was like, everything, I would listen to different kinds of music to move energy, which I is good. Like it's really good to understand how to move energy. But then I just realized inside myself, like, hold up, like when I raised my energy to a certain degree, I would say I started to notice that the same music I thought was valuable to help me move energy or whatever my brain came up with, it started to feel like dissonance. It started to feel like, oh, wait a minute, maybe this music that actually feels good, that felt good a year ago to help me move energy. Now I'm really aware of like the message it has about women, or I'm more aware of it and I'm no longer resonating with it.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think it would be the trickster would be in a nutshell, the part of your mind that seduces you into low energy. And
Mm.
that could vary of how it looks on a person to person basis.
Yeah. Sounds like just our desire body, something that's just taking us into our desires and our attachments, and maybe our ego. Some people could call it the ego.
Yeah. Um, people define ego in so many different ways. And the desire body, sometimes the desire body just wants a pack of cigarettes,
Mm.
and that could be the trickster, because if you're doing things that harm you, right? Or the desire body, right? It's like you really love chocolate cake. There's a lot of the desire body has a range of what it goes after. Sometimes it goes after, it could be the trickster, right? You're going after, relationships because you feel desperate and lonely. And so people wonder, like, why do I keep recreating abusive relationships? Well, it's because you're in the energy of shame and guilt and desperation. And from that energy, you are being driven to take action. And so the trickster can trick you into moving into activity based on low energy. But I feel like at the more like subtle level, it's like before you even go into activity, it's like that part of you that's like, it's kind of like that. I like to stare at the train wreck phenomenon.
Oh yeah.
Like I know that's bad for me. I know it's not
Mm.
good for me to tune into this, but I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
I would call that the trickster.
Uh, yeah. Kind of like reminds me of the devil and the angel on your shoulder, and you choose the
Yeah.
devil. Because would you say the trickster never disappears in our being? It's just if we how we choose to work with this so-called trickster.
What I have noticed in myself is that the clearer I become, so I talk a lot about like somatic meditation, because your body needs to experience what I see in Rohan and in people's minds is that people believe they have the thought, I am evil. I am the evil of this world. I am evil. It's like that Garden of Eden story where like Adam and Eve ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and then they were naked and then they were ashamed. It's like that's the first thought, like that's at the bottom of the psyche. So it's interwoven into our psyche that we are evil, and that can show up as shame of my sexuality, my sensuality, being ashamed of my body. And so what I have noticed in myself is the more that I somatically meditate on the fact that I am love and that I am light and that the darkness is not separate from me, it's a part of me that I can learn from. The trickster can show up as like being the devil's advocate. One of the ways that the trickster showed up for me was I was a lawyer. I would argue both sides all the time, even in friendships, and I would argue every side. And people might listen to that and be like, well, that's not bad. But in my inner somatic experience, it felt unkind. I felt like I was just being a mischievous, like troublemaker. Like that's what it felt like
Mm.
in my body. So I was like, okay, this isn't kind. Like instead of listening to people, I'm just challenging them. So that's one of the ways the trickster showed up for me. Trickster could show up as you sexually teasing someone, right? Like you trying to control or manipulate someone with your sexuality. So to answer your question, what I have noticed is that the more I have meditated on myself as truly being love and light, and that doesn't exclude the darkness, but that fundamentally, like I am creative intelligence and I truly am love, and I meditate in a way that includes my body, like I fill my body with light, and I feel the energy of love and higher love, like love for all beings, the more I meditate upon that reality, the less the trickster appears in my life.
I see.
And if the trickster does appear in my life, it's more obvious. And
Mm.
so I have the free will not to engage with it.
And you almost love the trickster, right? You almost love your demons in a way.
I love that I have the free will to not let it move me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's, people talk about integration, like integrating, like I'll make very clear like what I mean by integration. I don't want unkindness or manipulative or seductive energy to be part of my being. That's me. So what integration looks like for me is like, okay, I see it. I see what you're doing. I accept you. Thank you for teaching me to have conviction and to have even more desire to like be a love in this world. And so for me, integrating that demon is like bringing it into my heart, not
Mm-hmm.
pushing it away. But it's also for me, like integration doesn't mean like, well, let yourself be that mischievous, like unkind person. Like I can't speak for everyone, but in my awakening process, a refinement of my human personality has absolutely been part of the process. Like I've become more loving, more transparent, more honest, more communicative, more expressive, a better listener, and just like I just feel connected. I feel connected to myself and to others, and so I think naturally what comes from that is more love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, if it appears, if the trickster does continue to appear in your life, let it teach you something. Let it teach you about love. Let it teach you that, let you decide, do I want to let that move me? Do I want to keep, telling mean jokes at dinner? Do I want to keep, you know, seducing or controlling my environment in a way that's not loving? Do I want that? Or do I want to be loved? Do I want to have integrity? And that's your choice to make. I can't make that choice for anyone, but at least speaking for myself, the experience of awakening that I'm having seems to be having um, a profound like effect on transmuting my personality.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Where do you think this comes from? This dark side of ourselves? Is it just is it almost like a lesson in itself? Is it almost like this, or is it a maybe another, like you said, it's not another being, but I mean, it almost seems like it when we describe it, when we put it into
Some
words, it almost
people,
seems like this like leech. It almost seems like this like some people say it's like the reptilians. It's they're just gaining loosh off of us. It seems like this other entity that is this parasitic life form that is just taking us away from our ways. It really seems like that, but ultimately it's not. It really is just a part of ourselves. But
it's like saying, well, it's like anything else. Like it can be perceived that way, and that would be a valid way to interpret it. And it can actually be helpful to interpret it as a separate entity, because then you can like you can kind of be like, all right, I'm going to be smarter than that. That's helpful. Like it can teach you to like, it's like Voldemort taught Harry Potter like how to be fearless,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
but then you can think of it like
Hmm.
on a most fundamental level, everything is my subconscious. Like everything is myself. I see other humans and other non-physical entities, dark and light, as aspects of my huge psyche, of my own
Yeah,
psyche. But me as an individual, I'm experiencing like I can make a choice of like who I want to be. And who I want to be is I want to anchor love, and unity and empowerment and sovereignty and creative intelligence in the world. That's my choice. And so I am creating a reality where I will allow the trickster to teach me how to do that.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, it's the only way to go about it. Don't get seduced. That's a good word. It's like seduced. It's tempting. It's this
Yeah.
temptress side of us. It's like, don't you want that cookie? It'd be nice, huh?
And it's
Kind of
like,
like
to
that.
put it in the modern sense, it's like, all right, what are you tuning? It's like the Buddha said, like, be, be mindful of what you ingest, of the nutriments, what you take in, you know, even though everything is you, right? There's also discernment. Like, don't swallow anything. Don't listen to anything.
Mm.
Like, tune into yourself. Like, what feels like something that supports my well-being? What feels like something that I authentically want to tune into out of a place of wholeness and just a desire to experience something, not my conditioning, not my familiar childhood trauma conditioning, seducing me back into, you know, hateful stuff on the internet or stuff that like boils my blood, riles me up. Like, if you're in that every single day, it's because you haven't chosen to be free.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't chosen to be free, you will choose things, people, YouTube channels, Instagrams, you will choose things that will reinforce your state of being.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's your choice.
Yeah.
But you have another choice. You have free will. You can choose to withdraw your attention from everything that feeds those low states of energy.
Mm-hmm.
You simply have that choice. And I would like everybody to know that and to exercise that choice. People are like really worried about, oh my God, there's so many like dangerous spiritual gurus out there that like aren't ready to teach or like, and I'm like, you know what? Instead of talking about what we should be afraid of, I feel like we should let everybody know, like, hey, you have free will. If this guy feels off to you, turn him off, right? If this doesn't feel right to you, like, don't buy a ticket to that event. Like, use your free will and withdraw your attention from stuff that you don't want to give energy to anymore.
Yeah.
Like, wake up and realize that you're free. And that way, like, from a place of wholeness and freedom, we're actually, our free will is choosing, is making choices and not our conditioning. That's how you free people, not trying to control the external world, trying to censor or whatever. It's like, no, wake people up to the realization, like, you have every freedom to choose what feels good to your heart. And
Yeah.
you should do so
Yeah. That's a good way to
if you
put
want
free
to be
will.
happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have the free will to choose what feels good to our heart. I like that. That's a good
Yeah.
way to put it. Yeah, because we don't have true freedom in its idea of what freedom is, which is like, almost like a dream state. Like if I think it, then I can imagine. Like think about what true freedom is in a conceptual form. It means if I think that I can be a basketball player tomorrow, it happens. Or if I think that I can go fly to Jamaica right now, it'll happen. That's in essence true freedom, but it's not, we don't have true freedom per se, but we do have that energy of that true freedom, that godlike freedom that we can bring into our beings here to choose how we conduct ourselves here within the confines of our karma and our circumstances. That's what our free will entails. And I do believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what our heart wants, but we have to go within first. You have to figure out what you truly want. And then from there, it's this dance back and forth. What do I want? And then you go into your heart, figure out what the heart wants, and you take action, and you reflect a little bit, and you take action upon that. It's this dance back and forth between the inner and the outer. And yeah, we do have that power. I do feel it. I feel that we all have that power. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the path. That's the path.
And I feel like on what you said about, what you can visualize, I love to share this story because it's so epic. Joe Dispenza has these events that are huge. There are 1,500 people, and he has meditation assistants that will basically catch you if you have a Kundalini event and you basically leave your body. He has walking meditations where like they'll follow you. He has this huge operation where he has doctors and scientists proving that meditation has an effect on the body, on cancer cells. And he has proven it to such a degree that he is being allowed into children's hospitals to do what he calls coherence healings, which is channeling love to a child.
Wow.
And at the end of his event, like he was sitting in his chair and he was like, "So everyone, how do you like my dream?" And I was like, oh.
Hmm.
I was just so touched because I was like, he dreamed this. He knew that he was hit by a truck, and his spine was shattered. He reconstructed his spine. He wanted to free people. He wanted to prove consciousness with science. He's doing it. He has people helping him. He has this huge operation. And when he said that, I was like, wow, if he can dream a dream, I can dream a dream. You can dream a dream. Like you are the dreamer, and your dream is just as important as anything else in this collective dream. So like what do you want to create?
Yep.
Usually when you're connected to your heart, like you have this desire to want to create something that can help a lot of people. It's just kind of like this natural thing that
Yeah.
happens when you're connected to your heart. And let me just tell you, like after seeing that and hearing him say it like that, it's like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Like things come together in my own life. Oh my God, in the most miraculous ways to support. It's like in the same way that an artist, right, holds a vision and until he puts it on the canvas. Like it's in his mind until it's out pictured. It is the same for us.
Mm.
It is the same. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that's part of sovereignty and freedom is knowing this creative aspect of you. Like, yes, if you do hold a vision, and you do trust it and use your male conviction to like trust it no matter what anybody says, like yes, it will manifest. And if you are a person connected with your heart and you're a dreamer, like um I really am rooting for you. You know, I'm cheering for all the dreamers because we are just as divine as any other aspect in this universe, so why not contribute our dreams? I
Yeah,
think it's
exactly.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what we're supposed to do here. We're creating the dream. Yeah, the
Yeah.
dreamer. We merge with the dream. The dreamer and the dream become one in our actions. And we have so much power than we were told. We have so much more power than we're led to believe. But the more you go in and find that power, it's like a win-win. The more you go in and find that power, the more power you gain to go within and find that power. And it just keeps feeding upon itself. And then the magic happens in your life. And then synchronicities happen and things line up. And you're like, whoa. And then literally life does become a dream. You know, life becomes this magical thing that you didn't even realize was possible. And I'm speaking from, I'm pretty young, and when I see those things in my life, and I've only been on the path for a few years, and I see it happening, and it just keeps building up and building up. I'm like, what is this? And I'm just getting started. I feel like I'm just getting started here, and every day that goes by, it keeps getting more magical and more magical, and just things keep adding up, and really, truly, life becomes dreamlike. I don't know how else to explain it. And if this is just the beginning, like I said, like if I'm just getting started here, I can't imagine what my life will be like in 10 years, 20 years. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be even more dreamlike than I can imagine. And the reason it is because I'm creating that. I have the ability to do that. We all have the
Yeah.
will to create our dream here and become, like I said, the dreamer in the dream at the same time, and find out how that feels to truly be at that essence and that wavelength at all times. And it just keeps getting better and better. It really does, folks. For anybody listening this long,
Yeah.
um, it only gets better and better as
It
you go
really
on and create.
does.
And I think that's also this power in numbers in that too. Like as we're all on that wavelength, we're just gonna create that better world. Like I said before, it's just like your life gets better for sure. You might go through some turmoil and some darkness you have to work through, but ultimately, if you reflect on it, you'll most likely see that the magic it's happening, man. Just you let the light in, and the magic it just flows into your life. And then if we all do that, the magic is going to flow into all of our lives, and it's going to feed on each other. The love brings more love, and the love in your life brings love to others' life, and it's just like this beautiful process of energy that's not stagnant. It's this free flowing energy through us and through each other. And yes, thus we enter into this miraculous dreamlike reality that I do believe, like I said before, we're destined to live under. Life is a dream. It really is. So, what would you do? What would you do if you could dream the greatest dream of all time? If you could play the greatest game of all time, watch the greatest
Yeah.
movie of all time, what would you do? You would make it the greatest movie of all time. You would, if you, that's what we're doing. That's literally what's happening right now. If you go
Yeah.
inside and you become aware enough, you'll see that this is the greatest dream of all time. And it's not like, okay, we're in a dream, that's it. No, it's like we're creating it literally as we speak, right here, right now.
Exactly.
We're creating the
Exactly.
greatest dream of all time in this current moment. As I speak, as you listen, we're creating the greatest dream of all time.
And what I find, what's very, because some people are like, so what do I want? What am I going to do? And it's as simple as like, I just actually made a video about this morning. If you're just like really hardcore yourself, like if you're just yourself and you get out of groups of people that don't resonate with you, and you, even at the expense of, you might be lonely for a little bit, you might lose some things. I can tell you from my experience, I left so many situations where I had no safety net, nothing to catch me, so to speak. But then what I'm in right now is like this incredible world where I'm just meeting the most incredible people with superpowers, super intuitive people that are dreamers. I was just in the Bay Area in Silicon Valley. People like that are inventing tech to help heal depression, like people in tech that want to do Rohan. I'm just like, oh my God, this is. And so when you asked me at the beginning, like, how are you being the psychologist? It's like, this was always my dream, to be able to work with people who are heart-centered, but maybe can't figure out how to tune into or how to let go of the trickster,
Mm.
and to help them let go of the trickster, and like then their influence on humanity, like, because they're at like a systemic level, is great. And so I can tell anybody listening from experience, like, trust me, if you let go of things that feel awful to you, like what you're telling the universe is, I love myself, I respect myself, I matter just as much as anything else in the universe. And that energy of self-worth will attract to itself, like nuclear style,
Yeah.
stuff that will help you, stuff that will make you happy, conversations that will enliven you, just everything that matters to you will come to you, because now you have made yourself as important as everything else in the world,
Yep.
and it'll be reflected. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like the law.
It's the law.
So that's
Yeah,
how it
it
works.
really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the true law. The more you open up, the more you open yourself to magic and endless possibilities. Sounds like, like a Disney phrase, but it's true. The more you open
It's true.
yourself up to, like, the possibility of your life truly being a dream, you'll start to notice these things happening in your life that you couldn't expect to ever
Yeah.
happen in your life. And like you said, yeah, people will enter your life, and yeah, it becomes amazing. And I think we're just getting started here. Like I said, I think this is just the beginning. I think we're just getting
Yeah. It's
started to creating
exciting.
this.
The easiest way to recognize where you're not being authentic is to start meditating,
Yeah.
not in the void, but like with frequency. So like really, like if I want to be free, let's say, and I meditate on the frequency of freedom, and I feel myself soaring, or I feel myself somehow, I can somatically create the experience of freedom, and I meditate upon that feeling with a motion picture, with a symbol, with light, whatever helps you enhance it in your experience, because the body needs experience. What will happen now that your body has the experience of freedom, when your body is detecting bondage, it'll be like, oh, like that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh. So when you create the contrast, you need to, like I always say, the real shadow work is light work, because when you add more light, you expose your shadows. When you add more awareness and light, you expose inauthenticity, you expose. So like if you meditate and you feel your heart chakra, and you feel, even there's a tube around you that goes up, it's your higher self channel. If you meditate on this feeling and you become familiar with it, so you expand it in your awareness, now when you're interacting in your life, like it's going to be obvious to you that you're not operating from this heart space, like you're
Yeah.
operating from obligation, from fear, from, oh, I've been friends with this person for 15 years, so I can't not be friends with, like
Mm.
it's all like logical fear based stuff that keeps you hooked, right? That's the trickster.
Hmm.
Anything that keeps you hooked into something that and you've probably known for a long time isn't good for you at all. And now that you're sure that you know what freedom and love feels like, now it's clear to you. All right, it's not loving to myself to tune into this. It's not loving to myself to say yes when I mean no. It's not loving to myself to drink alcohol if I don't like alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just becomes so clear.
Yeah.
right? And so to me, I would say if you feel confused, or if you're wanting to create more clarity in your life so that you can release things that are not authentic to you, you want to increase the feeling of love and clarity and freedom in your awareness. And that means meditating on that feeling, listening to frequencies or music while you drive, where you can enhance the feeling in your awareness
Yeah.
so that it literally becomes what's more familiar to you.
Yep. Amen.
Yeah,
It's all about our energetic diet.
exactly.
Make sure you digest in love. That's what it's about.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
um, yeah. Well, I think we said all we can say. Do you have any last words? Anything you want to get off your chest?
Um, just you are free. You are free. Everybody's free. You're not obligated to do anything you don't want to do. And by following simply moment to moment things that you honestly want to do, and that can be as small as eating at a new place, it can be as small as sleeping in for 10 more minutes. You begin to liberate yourself out of the bondage of time, out of the bondage of thought.
Mm.
And so just know this, you are free, just that's what I want everybody to know. I think that's the best thing I could possibly say.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you. Thank you for having me on. It was really fun to
Of
talk to you.
course. Of course. Well, thank you for joining me. This was a wonderful
Yeah.
conversation. I agree. We're all free. We're all free. You just have to remind yourself sometimes. It's easy to get sucked
Yeah,
in to the noise, but freedom is right there. It's always hidden in plain sight.
exactly.
It's always there. Love is always there. But yeah, thank you again. Appreciate your time, wisdom.
Yeah,
Um,
you're welcome.
yeah, this was great. Don't know what else to say. Peace out. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much.